Football is a game that brings fame and fortune to a select group of individuals. It is seen by many gifted young players, or sometimes their families, as their way out of poverty and misery. The problem with that blind ambition is that sometimes it ends up permanently compromising the lives of naive young men who are forced to make important decisions when they clearly don't have the maturity to do so. Today, we'll be taking a look into the shocking case of Cardoso Varela, a player who was literally stolen from his club, country, and his own mother. In this video, I'll explain why he hasn't appeared again, what the future holds for him, and how this sad phenomenon keeps happening without anyone batting an eye. So first, and as usual, let me give you some context. Cardoso Varela is way above average for a 16-year-old. After arriving in Portugal at the age of 13, Cardoso quickly rose through the ranks of FC Porto, reaching the under-19s in less than 2 seasons. Primarily a left winger, Cardoso has superb dribbling skills, explosiveness, and excellent close control, which makes him a perfect fit for top European clubs looking for a diamond that's still a bit rough around the edges. Allegedly, there were already many eyes closely monitoring the progress of the Portuguese winger, but following his impressive performances at the under-17 Euros, his fate would change forever. You see, not everyone who appears willing to help you will have your best interests in mind. And in that same train of thought, not every parent will look at their child as a human being. Some parents, particularly from lower income cultures, tend to see their kid as a meal ticket that should be milked at the first opportunity. Sadly, Cardoso Varela appears to have only scumbags around him, including his own father. The story goes that Cardoso Varela was happy to continue developing at Porto. Before departing the club to play for Portugal's under-17s, Cardoso showed all the interest in the world in continuing with the Dragons. After all, Porto has a rich history of developing youngsters, especially in recent years. But seemingly out of nowhere, the player went quiet. He didn't answer Porto's calls anymore, and when it was time to show up at the Olival training center, Cardoso was nowhere to be seen. At first, people feared the worst, but then it became clear what had happened to the player when he resurfaced in Croatia's 4th division. Now, what player in their right mind would trade FC Porto for Dinamo Odransky? Well, maybe an Odransky superfan if there's any out there, but let's cut the crap. Why Croatia? There are 2 stories, and I'll let you believe what you want to believe. There's a father story who was supposedly an Angolan working in Croatia that just wanted to have his child close to him and protected from Porto's mafia. According to his version, Cardoso Varela hated playing for Porto, as the club made him absolutely terrified. If that wasn't bad enough, Cardoso Varela Sr. received death threats from people affiliated with Porto who went out of their way to find the father of an academy prospect and threaten him. They allegedly told him that if his kid didn't continue with the Dragons, they would literally kill him. But how could they physically threaten him if he was living in Croatia? Are there any crazy Porto fans in Croatia willing to go to jail for a kid that hasn't even debuted yet? Then there's another version that claims Dinamo Odransky was nothing more and nothing less than a temporary home chosen due to Croatia's rules that allow players to sign contracts before the age of 16. In this version, Varela was happy with Porto and, if anything, was afraid of his uncle, who also served as one of his agents. Ultimately, after turning 16, Varela would be offered to a German club. Given the names interested in the young winger, it would likely be either Dortmund or Bayern. Now, you tell me what sounds more realistic. Besides, even though Varela's agents claim they didn't kidnap him and they did all of this with the family's consent, it's at least a little suspect the way he just vanished. If Varela was okay with leaving, why didn't he communicate with Porto? To add further fuel to the fire, Porto tried their best to keep the player. They really did. But it's simply outrageous to ask for 3 million euros to keep a completely unproven youngster. It doesn't matter how fast, skilled, and overall hype the youth prospect is. At the end of the day, they haven't proved a single thing. Therefore, neither the player, his agents, nor his family should expect his amount of money to stay. But what can a club like Porto do when there are several giants in Europe willing to match and even surpass that fee? Many clubs are willing to pay 5 million euros right now to the agent and Cardoso's family. Of course, the family won't see half of it, and the smartest move would be to not let money drive you in the early stages of your career. But parents, specifically a father like the one Cardoso was cursed with, couldn't care less. In his mind, he'll be able to profit a big sum of money for the first time in his entire life. Who knows if his kid will earn him that kind of money in the future, so he's willing to literally sell his son to a place when there's a much higher chance Cardoso will flop and lose himself. I mean, he's already wasting months of his development being hidden somewhere instead of receiving crucial game time with Porto. Just look at Rodrigo Mora. He's from the same generation and just a few days ago made his first starter appearance and scored his first goal for Porto. If Cardoso hadn't left, this could have easily been him, but now his career could be over before it even starts, and I honestly don't even see him coming back to his former club. Either way, whether you're a Porto fan or not, I think what they're doing right now is commendable. Vilas Boas is showing the whole world that you can't fuck with this club and get away with it, while also protecting the lives of not only Cardoso Varela, but several other kids going through similar experiences. Sadly, this isn't the first time a young player has been a victim of a scheme like this one. In fact, there's a lot of evidence connecting Barca to lower level Croatian clubs, and in particular to Croatian agent Andy Bara. Bara brokered deals involving Mikael Faye and a few other Barca youngsters in a similar way, which made many believe Varela could be going to Camp Nou. But it appears this connection was nothing more than just a coincidence. What isn't a coincidence is how football is attracting more and more leeches. Agents being money hungry is no surprise to anyone with half a brain, but parents also playing a bigger role in the exploitation of their own young kids leaves me completely baffled. This strategy of taking a kid away from their parent club, leaving them in a smaller side only to make the agents and families profit as much money as possible, is something that needs to be brought to light and stopped once and for all. We all want passion in our sport. Many of us claim football is too rigid, that it isn't as fun as it used to be. But how can it possibly be fun if the protagonists see it as a job way before they even become pros? Football was made by the poor for the poor. But as we're seeing, it's now looking more like a corpse with no soul, stolen by the rich to make a quick buck. And that's it. I know this topic was a bit different from what I usually share, but I genuinely believe this deserves your attention. Make sure you subscribe and join the Thorn FC community to never miss a video about football topics that you won't find covered anywhere else. As always, thanks for watching until the end, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.